and I invite us to continue conversation about technologies. And dear Ferial and Andy, please present your project, which calls CRG Journeys Technology. So I have never heard about that. So please share with us.
Okay, so first of all, I've just noticed my colleague is nowhere to be seen. Oh, there she is. Hello. And we can't hear you, Ferial.
That she was listening.
Okay, I'll wait. So let me try and let me try and share the screen. Hang on. Share screen. Let's see if I can pull this one off. It'll be that one, won't it? That's come on. There we go. So, this is called SRG Journeys, a behaviour change technology designed by Andy Ferguson and Ferial Puren. And I've been listening for the last few hours to all sorts of wonderful presentations about people describing their various methodologies and technologies, etc. So this is going to be slightly different because unlike this picture at the back, our technology is not all whizzy bangy. Let me start off though. We were asked to introduce ourselves, if you like, because as we go through with the emergence, I suppose more and more people are going to be presenting and people won't know who they are. So let me just start off a wee bit about myself, but I'll do it slightly differently. Just if you can see the screen, it says technology is something we use to see better, reach further, or have more impact. And this is, I think, really important that I've learned this over the last 62 years is that our ability to use things that are not us, whether that's eyeglasses or a car to move at 60 miles an hour down a street or whatever it is, we tend to view technology as something that is apart from us. In reality, it's just something that we've been extending since whenever, right? If you think back to our ancestors, even hominids who weren't Homo sapiens have been using things for millions of years, and in fact, beavers makes dams. So what is technology? We're going to look at that theme, but I want to tell you how my view of technology was shaped by the fact that I was born in 1961. For those of you that are a bit young, or a bit younger than that, you may not know what it was like growing up in the 60s. So I want to just explain to you a little bit about my perspective on technology and why being born in 1961 was actually quite important in that. So the 60s, there was hippies and flower power. Think about it for a little second. You've probably seen the videos if you weren't there. Hippies and flower power. Vietnam, civil rights movement. There was a civil rights movement in Northern Ireland that led to the Troubles. That was a 30-year inter-community fight, low-grade warfare that killed a lot of people over the course of about 30 years. It was people, communities, individuals fighting amongst themselves and against each other, trying to identify who they were and what they stood for and what clan and group they were a part of. I've recently, over the last few years, been involved in tour guiding, taking visitors to our country, Scotland, and looking at our history and realising that the Scottish history, the Irish history is one of clanship and suffering and fighting against the elements and fighting against each other. And it's not a particularly noble history, but it was still going on when I was a boy, still going on now in different parts of the world. And the other thing that I want to remind you of, or inform you about if you didn't grow up in that time, was this idea of the mad destruction, mutually assured destruction. I grew up in a world, we're living in a world where people keep talking about polycrisis and climate change. I grew up in a world where we fully expected the world to end in a nuclear Armageddon at some point. You know, I was a bit young to remember, although I did live through the Cuban Missile Crisis. So it's interesting that we are concerned with our annihilation, but we have lived with that for quite some time and have had the capacity to create our own annihilation for some time with technology. Yeah, there's things I was fascinated by things that were more upbeat than that. And one of them was this idea of John F. Kennedy in the same year as the Cuban Missile Crisis. He said, we're going to put a man on the moon and return them safely to Earth. Now, I want you to think about that. Again, in today's context, we would never dream of saying we're going to put a man on the moon. We'd say we're going to put somebody on the moon. But over the course of 10 years, although the preparation for that was much longer, about 500,000 people, not just in America, but all over the world, were involved with a great ambition, which was to put a person on the moon and return them safely to Earth. That's 250,000 miles away, never been done before. And that feeling at the end of that decade was that technology could solve all the world's problems. All we needed to do was unite in a manner, get that human intellect going, and we could solve any problem. And people started to believe that, you know, the things like conflict and disease and cancer and all these things could just be solved with the applications of science and technology. And I bought into that. I was very much hoping to be a part of that. But what I discovered is that although I loved science and technology, I just wasn't cut out for it. I'm dyslexic. And if you look at my little diagram here, you'll see a little representation of me in primary school. And I couldn't even follow the words on a page. And I remember one teacher in particular really spoke to me, spoke to my heart when she said, Ferguson, would you just read what's on the page when I try to stand up and read aloud in a class? I never went to university. I didn't achieve the dreams of being an engineer or a scientist that I wanted to. But what I did manage to do over the next lifetime was harness the idea of having impossible goals and trying to find out what those goals were. So my goal has been to try and understand who I am and where I fit into the world and what is this world around me. And that meant that I had to go wandering. And for the first few years of my life, the first few decades, by the time I was 30, I think I had 30 different jobs, right? And I'd lived in a few countries. And I had explored the world and I discovered that I could be resilient and resourceful. And to me, one of the things that I want to present, if you like, is an idea that technology is about being resilient and resourceful. It's about using things that we can access to survive and thrive. And at that point, I'm going to hand over to my wonderful colleague, Ferial Puren, who's going to tell you a little bit about her story. We can't hear you, Ferial.
Yes. Ferial, you're beautiful.
Thank you so much, Andy. I had seen that you hadn't got the slideshow right, so I took over. Apologies. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I am one of the co-managing and co-founders of LCE, and we help together with Marina Demchenko. We help to steward the flow and development of LCE. And what many of you might not know about me is that I was born and raised in apartheid South Africa, in Cape Town, one of those beautiful cities, the city that Patrick is in right now, in 1973. And I have now lived in Scotland for the last 20 years. So this kind of interplay has shaped how I view the world, I guess, right? And the other thing you don't know about me is that I'm a very keen dancer of the Latin dances. So that's me and my partner over there, Adrian, and that's how we incidentally met, dancing. And that's no surprise that my name then means celebration or festival, right? Because I love having a good festival. And I am also the mom of two grown-up daughters, Jada, who is now 22, just turning 23 this year, and Kiara, 20. These are all aspects of who I am. Very often we focus in on what we've achieved. And for me, these are some of my greatest achievements. And I feel most at home when I'm near the sea. So I do live at the sea right now, or close to the sea anyway. And it's just a place that water speaks to me. Water is such an important theme in my own life. And I truly love my life. And the reason is not because my life is perfect, but it really is because my life is so perfectly imperfect. And I think it is kind of explained, apologies, in the little quote I put on the top. Right now, I'm not able to see the whole quote, so I'm just going to let you read it. But essentially, it's about giving up that control, about allowing for life to show us and leaning into what does it want to emerge. right? And very often, many of us, we lose that possibility in life because we are so focused on accomplishments as opposed to what is life emerging for me. And I think that's been the theme in my own life and how that has emerged. And a lot of what we're going to share today, Andy and I, is about that discovery, is about Andy mentioned what was his place in the world. And it is about looking at how do I interrelate as a socio-cultural interbeing, as a person that is made up of different aspects of who I am. How do I interrelate with the world effectively? So, Andy, back to you.
So we are going to talk later on, much later on, another session about how to find your wonderful life. But for now, we're going to highlight, I suppose, how this SRG thing happened. So SRG Journeys, and we'll break down the name later, but SRG Journeys really emerged from a meeting gone wrong between myself and Ferial. It was actually our first meeting. It was a meeting where I was trying to get back into the speaking world. I used to be a renowned motivational speaker, and that's, you know, a big thing for me. I heard that Ferial was putting on a conference. I turned up, had been cancelled, nobody had got the word to me, and I got really quite angry. But rather than shout and swear at Ferial, I over the course of the time it took me to get hold of her, calmed down and realised that it was my issue. I wanted to make a difference in the world. I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to enrich their lives. And I thought, you know, an opportunity to do that had been taken away from me. And I realised that that was my issue, not our issue. And so when I actually did get a hold of Ferial, I just said something like, oh, you know, thanks very much, because I'm now in Edinburgh and I've got some time in Edinburgh I wouldn't have had otherwise. And that to me that's the beginning of this journey, because what we realised was that understanding that humans make mistakes, understanding that life is unpredictable, understanding that what's in front of us is not what we're trying to accomplish often, learning how to travel our journey with grace. Actually, if I could learn how to do it intuitively, maybe we could learn how to do it explicitly. Maybe we could make that something that we could develop and teach. And so I'm jumping to the end of the presentation by saying every journey is an SRG journey. Every moment, every interaction we have with the world is an SRG journey. And that is why we call it a technology of practice. We use it to understand ourselves, others, and our world more deeply, and it empowers us to act with more awareness, appreciation, and care. Our goal in any SRG journey is to help the participants learn and understand themselves and others deeply and profoundly, discover themselves, how to best use their gifts, and share the practice of journeying well together. And the key thing here is about SRG journeys is that you can't learn this stuff without doing it. It is a practice. We make mistakes together, just like Ferial and I made a mistake on our very first journey. Now, the format of an SRG journey is we create an opportunity for a paradigm shift that we witness together and we witness each other. The format of an SRG journey is first and foremost that paradigm shifting experience in the company of others. It doesn't work unless there's other people to mirror and reflect and feedback what your experience to something that changes your perspective or your paradigm is. It can only be done together, but it can be done online. And what we've discovered is we started off with a 16-session over 20 weeks program, and we discovered that we can actually do it in 90 minutes. And also, Ferial and I will tell you, and I'm going to pass over to him in a minute, is that an SRG journey, once you get your head into it, is something that you do for your lifetime. And every time we run an SRG journey, we get something out of it that always surprises us. We are continually learning. This is an iterative process where the more that you do it, the more that you become better practiced at it. And if you go back to the first, if I just nip back to the first slide, you'll see a bit I didn't mention, which is about me. I love working with Ferial because that is my practice partner. That is the person that I practice SRG journey with every single day. So let's just move on to something here. I would like if you can, you've got this, Ferial, yeah? You can read this, the Evo story, yeah?
Sorry, I don't have it, but would you like, I know you've sent it to me on my phone.
Oh, it's okay. Listen, having said I'm dyslexic, let me try and read it, right? And I know I won't do it justice in the way that
I will read it for you because you have sent it to me. So if you don't mind, I'll just take it from my phone if that's okay.
Yeah, well, you do that. Well, you find that. I'll just do this bit. The key qualities, because I know Alexei will be dying to know what the key outcomes are, but are the measurables. But basically, this is a journey where, when you go somewhere, you don't actually say, "Oh, I've achieved getting to Glasgow," or maybe you do. But if you're just going to Glasgow, or Edinburgh, Berlin, getting there's the outcome. So, what is an SRG journey? It's about storying. We're just about to hear a story. It's about observing yourself and each other. It's about bonding with other people. It's about sharing your honest collective experience. It's about creating a safe, fun learning environment. It's about double and triple learning. We'll come back to that later. And it's about stop, reset, go. It's about having and practicing and getting used to having paradigm shifts as a daily practice. So if you're ready to go, Ferial, I'll let you off.
Great stuff. So the SRG practice and technology, it's about a story that Andy has written, right? Just to give us a reflection of what this possibly could mean for us. So at the beginning of time, the force that breathed life into the universe, the spirit known as Evo, who had a masterfully, plan to weave and intertwine the threads of existence to form the tapestry of life. Creating beings who would in time be called sapiens. Evo bestowed 3 magnificent gifts upon them, each a marvel in its own right. The first gift was the Heartstone, a gem of love, caring, and compassion. This stone pulsed with a warm light, guiding sapiens to nurture and protect one another, especially the young. Their children flourished under the glow of the Heartstone, growing into beings who valued kindness and empathy, making their community a haven of mutual support and understanding. The second gift was the Crystal of Inquiry, a shard of pure, sparkling intelligence. This crystal illuminated the minds of sapiens, enabling them to ponder the mysteries of existence itself. They ask profound questions and seek answers that lay hidden in the fabric of reality. With this crystal, sapiens learn to unravel the secrets of nature, harness the elements, and leap towards unimaginable discoveries. The third and most transformative gift was the mirror of innovation, a reflective surface that represented technology. This mirror did not merely show the world as it was, but revealed what it could be. It was in this mirror they saw their potential to shape, build, and innovate. From simple tools to complex machines, each reflection was a testament to human ingenuity and the endless possibilities that lay in the marriage of mind and matter. But Evo, in its infinite wisdom, saw that these gifts were but facets of a greater whole. So it bestowed upon them the greatest technology of all, the technology of being human. This was not a tangible gift, but a realization and understanding that the true essence of humanity lay in the harmonious blend of heart, mind, and action. It was the ability to love deeply, think profoundly, and create meaningfully that evolved wished them to have. In this allegory, the technology of being human symbolizes our unique place in the universe as beings who are not only shaped by evolution, but also have the power to shape ourselves and our environment. It's a reminder that the essence of humanity lies in how we integrate these gifts to uplift ourselves and each other, and also safeguard the world that gave us life. Thank you. Over to you, Andy.
So the essence of an SRG journey would be then to ask the audience what was going through their head and their heart when they heard that story, what resonated with them, what maybe didn't resonate with them, and then to have a discussion about that story. And where we talk about double or triple learning or feedback is we would then ask ourselves to reflect back on the experiences of others as they were reporting what they were talking about and feeling. And so what we get is this continuous loop of deeper and deeper understanding. So I'm going to jump to an idea. Sorry, let me just jump to this idea. I'm going to jump to this idea about an SRG journey has a core element where we unpack something that is useful. But we actually got the idea from Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock set the template for thrillers, movies where you would get entangled by the story of the protagonist. And he had this idea called a MacGuffin. And the MacGuffin was, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's a stolen top secret plan for a plane, or it's the identity of a spy. All that happens is there's something that drives the protagonist on a journey. And on that journey, they experience something deep and profound. They have an adventure. They discover something about the world. They discover some qualities about themselves. So each SRG journey is built around an idea. It could be about being a psycho-bio-social cultural being. It could be about any of the things that have been discussed already in the Emergathon. We would take one of those ideas and we would present it in a way that was engaging, fun, challenging. And then we would actually look at and have this repeated exercise of saying, how has my perspective or my paradigm been changed by that introduction of that idea? And what is the bigger takeaway that we can take from that? And so the idea that we present, why we call it SRG Journey, is because when we consider James Guillen Wong, who was actually the inspiration in some ways for SRG journeys, Guillen's idea, stop, reset, go, SRG, stop, reset, go, being able to stop, examine the viewpoint, the paradigm, the understanding. Why are we imagining that we already know where we're going? Why do we understand this is the best way of getting there? Embracing the unknown and the mystery and welcoming that is all part of the SRG experience. And let's just move on to this one, which basically says, if you look at this, it's called STARE. It stands for Stage, Target, Action, Impact, and Reflection. SRG really applies to the last part of this, action, impact, and reflection. You're doing something, you look at the impact, you reflect on it, and then you start by changing the bits that are not working and putting them in place. But the beginning of STARE, it says, we're always on a journey, whether we set targets or the targets are imposed by the outside world. We basically are on a journey. And so this idea of STARE is saying, well, in this part of the journey, what are the targets or truths that need to be realized or understood or appreciated during this part of the journey? What are the actions that I'm expected or should or must take? And how does the impact of my actions affect the way that this journey is transpiring? And finally, reflection means just reorientating yourself, really starting to find yourself again in the space where you're moving, you're continually moving forward. Because I want you to just think about this for 1 second. I want you to go back to the day you were born, flushed into the world, gasping for oxygen and crying to be held by your mother. Think about that for a second. And then let's jump to the other side, the last day on the planet. Between then and that, between when you were born and when you die, between now and when you die, you're on a journey. SRG Journeys really is it's an opportunity to practice how to do that journey well. And that's the essence of what an SRG journey is. It's very difficult to explain, but once you've done one, you'll really understand the impact of it. And I'll just hand over to Ferial just to kind of sum up.
Okay, so I'm just going to watch the time, but yes, as I was just trying to get back to a previous slide where we spoke about stop, reset, go. So it's around the idea of stop doing that, whether it's in your own life, whether it's in your community, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your city. Stop doing that which is causing harm. When you've identified what those things are, and then moving on from that into the reset phase, where you are looking at the values and the things that have to be reset within your own life, your own heart, within your community, within your family, etc., etc., so that you can start to identify new ways of achieving the same results that you want without the harm. And once you've identified some of these things, you start to practice and you start to go into the direction of that which is most effective. So SRG itself, as Andy had said, is a method, a practice designed by Gian James Wong and his team in the SRG group that is about this. It's something that can be practiced by anyone. It can be practiced by a child or an older person or anyone, anywhere in between, because it's so simple. It's SRG, so you can remember this. But it's something that's not a linear process. It's not, okay, we're going to stop and then we're going to reset and we're going to go. But it's actually something that allows for evolution in your own life, in solutions you create, in the city that you live. It's about understanding that process of the moment you sense there is tension, like Christiane was explaining earlier, there is something that's not working and there's harm that's coming. You actually look at that and you start to move through that process. But very often it's not stop, reset, go, and now we're done. It's actually a continual the idea of stopping, resetting, going, stopping, resetting, going. And that's how you continually evolve and kind of transcend the paradigm you find yourself in currently, because we are living in this extremely dynamic world. We talk about a VUCA and BANI world. We talk about a world that has such complexity in it. And a lot of what we design today and we develop solutions today does not work a year from now, 10 years or 10 or 100 years from now, because the world has moved on, meaning that the solutions we design has to be what we call, there's a practice in the medical practice, it's called pathogenic, and that is there's a problem and we have a solution, and then there's another way of thinking about it, which is salutogenic, which is the problem is always evolving. Therefore, the solution has to be evolving at the same rate. And so this is really the approach of SRG Journeys is we talk about Living Cities Earth, how do I human well? And in a sense, it is about how do I understand who I am in relationship to the story. It says here, the journey, the path, their path, our path, right? That fractal, that kind of looking at, I'm a part of different stories here. My own story, I'm a part of my family story, I'm a part of Andy's story, I'm a part of your story in Living Cities Earth, but I'm also part of a city where I live, and I'm part of the Earth story. So it's understanding myself through these lenses, in that, looking at what has gone, what is, and looking at the visions forward looking, and then how do I navigate and negotiate that after I've understood and I'm understanding, not even understood, but understanding how I fit into that beautiful, amazing, complex picture. Thank you, Andy.
So,
Thank you.
any questions? Any questions?
Dear colleagues, thank you so much. Beautiful idea about technology of human being, right? So we are focusing a lot on going. I can tell it about myself, right? And I'm so curious about maybe we have just 1 minute, right, before next speaker, but maybe you can share one tip, one advice how to stop. Because I agree that that's the first step and it's super important. But when, for example, it's a full moon, a lot of energy, a lot of projects, ideas, thoughts, and everything, right, is coming in your mind, and you cannot sleep. So maybe one quick, short, but tip.
Alexa, do you know the thing that really that Ferial and I always refer back to is how we met, because I was absolutely sure that I was set on this path, that I was going to get back onto being a you know, professional speaker and influence people and inspire them, and then it wasn't even on, and I got so, and it was get out of your way. You know, I'm going to scream. I'd heard about Ferial, and I was going to scream and shout at this woman who, if I took my time, took a step back, took a deep breath, could actually be the best thing that ever happened to me. And in loads of ways, she is. You know, so I don't say that often enough, probably to her. In so many ways, Ferial's one of the best things that ever happened to me. So that's the point. You know, don't be a technocrat. Don't try and get to the moon. Just enjoy the fact that you're trying to get to the moon together.
So I want to quickly, also answer just that question for you, Alexa, and really what Andy has said, but also Gail Taylor, right, one of our co-founders who's recently passed away, she always used to say to me, Ferial, you need to get where you want to go a lot slower, and it's like almost like slow down to speed up. I think, and I've proven this over and over and over again, that slowing down, Alexei, allows us, and I'm saying to you, it's different for all of us. But that's why this part of community that Andy spoke about at the beginning, it is part of that. Do you know, many days Andy slows me down and says, Ferial, hold. Or I do the same for him when he's going off the rails and something. That stop is not something you just do on your own. It is in a community that is supportive. And this is all the stuff we deal with. We didn't go through all the process of what all the technology is, but really, we'll probably make another video that really explains more of that. But it really was for you to understand that it is engaging in that community of people that help you do that stop, reset, and go. So yeah, you ask, how do you stop?
Awesome.
There is no specific method. There is just a willingness, I want to say, to review, to know that the information and the knowledge that you have had is not complete. You only ever operate from a knowledge deficit, because the knowledge that exists in the universe is way bigger than what you could ever conceive, which means the decisions you're making today is only based on the knowledge you've got, which means you've always got to be transcending and allowing for that stop, reset, and going. I hope that answers it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Andy, Ferial. Beautiful, so inspirational. And I love this, right? To slow down, to speed up. And now we can take a deep breath before we're moving to the next speaker.